Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
What happened to Omarisuf? Guys, today we're going to talk about what happened to Omar, why he doesn't seem to be as popular anymore, and give you kind of my take on his progression through YouTube, as it's been kind of an interesting thing to follow. Because going back to like around the 2011, 2010, 2012 era with like, Hodge Twins and Mark Bell and all these channels exploding, and I don't know, I think it was just a time where a lot of people on YouTube were just of that, older teen, younger 20s generation, like getting into fitness, getting into working out, how do I work out? How do I lift weights? How do I look better? Kind of thing. And I think that whole kind of scene just exploded all at the same time on the internet, which was also just taking off at the time. And it just kind of evolved into, powerlifting training, bodybuilding training, and obviously there's a bunch of different avenues within fitness that, either did really well or didn't. But I've always thought it was interesting that these guys, exploded so much in 2012. Essentially, they're doing kind of the same thing now, but everything kind of fizzled out. So I wanted to talk specifically about Omar's channel today, but like if we, for example, look at guys like Max Tuning that were able to ride that wave and then pivot. I think that's the most important thing to be able to do, to have that, knowledge and skill when it comes to YouTube, is whenever you hit that wave of success and get those numbers, is to be able to realize when that, avenue or whatever you're doing is starting to go down, and be able to turn that into something else. We saw that Max Tuning, he was able to change it into, he immediately went into like lifestyle vlogging, right? And it worked out really well for him. Whereas Omar's kind of been doing the same thing, over time. And it's just, it's weird to see that the interest has just kind of faded, because it started out, a lot of these videos were like, programming and that kind of thing. They used to be huge. They used to do really well, and they don't so much anymore. And I think it's just because of fatigue of the content in general.
Omarisuf here, back with another video. This is a very important.
And I mean, props to this guy for being able to do it year in, year out for so long. But yeah, it's like, people were super interested in something, and then I feel like there just wasn't a lot of things to build off from there. It's like, how many videos can you watch on how to deadlift or how to squat? There's just a point where it just doesn't become that interesting.
But at the same time, it seems like my progress...
And it's kind of cool because he talks about this here, so let's see what he's got to say.
...has stalled when it comes to training, both when it comes to strength as well as hypertrophy. In fact, it's a little bit worse than that. I would make the argument, and actually objectively it's true, from a physique standpoint, over the last 2 years, there's been a regression. What's been going on? I'm going to explain exactly.
So I think this is interesting too, because his channel was, it was kind of built around his progress, and that's definitely cool to see, and like it's interesting to follow along with people's progress. That's something that I want to get into eventually. But it's interesting because his physique and strength levels were really the best kind of when his channel was at the best as well. I think he switched to Olympic weightlifting at some point, which may have been, kind of the starter on when he started getting less views. But yeah, it's just funny to see, or it's just interesting, I guess, to see that, the interest in his channel is kind of parallel to his strength and his, his physique stuff, which must take a toll on you mentally, to be like, I've got to stay in shape because I've got to get these views, and I've got to get, I've got to get stronger. Like, it just adds a whole nother layer to it. That's already a stressful endeavor, to go after. You throw in another layer of like, it's my livelihood, it's my business, which I think, I don't think he relies on his channel for his business anymore. So I don't want this to come off as like I'm, critiquing him as a whole. Like, I don't know him, I don't know what he does. But just in terms of his channel, it's been interesting that he's kind of been doing the same content, and it's just not really been going anywhere lately.
That in this video today, and the shortest answer, we're going to go through kind of a long-winded explanation, is that I had an acute elbow injury that really has prevented serious training over the last few years. Now, that's symbolic of other things. There's been stress and other factors, which we'll get into, but it's easiest to show you, right? So the left arm right here, if we lift it up over the head, nice and straight, full ROM. The right arm, if we lift it up, the maximum range of motion, I'm missing a few degrees right here, so we have the left arm.
Range of motion is entirely the issue. The elbow gets irritated. That's part of it too. I mean, I know he had like some back problems and stuff. I think he actually had some pretty serious back problems, so that kind of put an end on, squatting and deadlifting super heavy. But I mean, obviously he's still got a killer physique. He's still super strong. So
Arm, and then we have the right arm. If we lift it up, we can see the difference in the elbow angle, and that's the maximum amount. You could try and apply 500 pounds of pressure, 1,000 pounds of pressure. That elbow now has a restricted range of motion, and that's probably due to an acute injury that occurred. Now that sounds negative. I kept re-injuring it or re-aggravating it over the last few years. I wasn't at first taking it seriously enough, but I also didn't have the capacity to recover from said injury. And again,
that's crazy. That actually sucks. I've had some of those from lifting too, where it's just like a stupid little injury that like only bothers you while you're lifting, which is super annoying. But yeah, that combined, I didn't know about that. So that combined with the back thing, that's tough.
we're going to go into this, and ultimately this video is extremely positive because I only wanted to make this video once it kind of was in the rear view mirror. And while, yes, I don't have full range of motion, I can certainly do a lot more as of right now, October 2023, than I could 6 months ago, a year ago, or 2 years ago. It's definitely on the right track. And more emphatically, I can now train to the level I want, both to regain my strength and my muscle mass. But let's give you a short history of what's been going on with my training, everything else over the last, let's say, 5 years. From 20...
Plus, I mean, people get older, their priorities change. Like it's a lot easier to get all into lifting when you're in your earlier 20s, and then you get careers, family, stuff. Like other things just come first. So I mean, I get what he's saying, and I don't want this to come off as like I'm critiquing him for not making progress. That'd be very stupid of me to do. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's just I think it's just like a trend thing. Like I said at the beginning, where it's like this stuff was just super popular when it first started coming out. And then it just got so oversaturated with everyone that worked out becoming like a fitness influencer in their own kind of way. And the thing is with exercise, it's a weird thing. Like I feel like it's a weird thing to cover in terms of like tips or education or that kind of thing, because a lot of it is really not set in stone, which makes it, I guess, so interesting online, because people are always coming up with stuff or talking about things, or like you always see stuff, especially about food, like this food's bad, this food's good, blah blah blah. For the most part, it's all bullshit. And like lift weights, do some cardio, get your steps in, get enough sleep at night, drink water, eat a balanced diet of different things, don't eat too much. That's basically all it is. And how do you make videos out of that every single day without saying the same thing or just becoming the guy that's repeating himself? And I think that's what happens to a lot of these channels, especially the ones that took off in the peak time, where that's what they got famous for. That's what they got really popular for. It's like, how do you keep just talking about that, day in and day out? So I think that was basically the problem, specifically with Omar. I think that's what happened. The content just got super oversaturated, and although he took off in the beginning, it just didn't really pan out to something that was going to work long term, without being able to pivot from it. So you guys let me know what you think. I talked a lot about Mr. Omarisuf. Again, big fan, love his stuff, always watch his videos. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think down below in the comments, and we will catch you in the next one. Chicken is out.